Hello, welcome to Claret and Blue and our first post-match reaction of the new season. Would you believe it? It only feels like 5 minutes ago we had the Brighton game we were talking about. Here we are talking about the first pre-season game in Villa's little mini fixture list of Walsall, Lazio, etc. Joining me to talk about Aston Villa's first game today is John Townley, live, reporting back from the Poundland Bescott Stadium, is it these days? How's things over there, John?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Yeah, season's only around the corner now, or 4 weeks, but it'll go quickly. And as you say, the Brighton game was months ago, but it feels like it was weeks ago, doesn't it? So, yeah, first preseason game today, so not a whole lot to sort of report on, but yeah, it's nice to be back and nice to get back into the groove of it all again. So yeah, looking forward to the next couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, it's classic pre-season fodder, isn't it? We're not going to go too in depth here on any kind of particular subject as a whole. As last season we were doing an hour post-match. For those that didn't see our kind of end of season review and things like that last season, we are kind of tweaking these videos going forwards. That most of the stuff we do now is pre-recorded and edited to kind of try and be a bit more professional. The live streams will be kind of for the post-match show, and we're going to try and tighten those up a little bit to be 30 minutes, 35 minutes. I know we run over more often than not, but specifically for pre-season as well, we are going to try and keep these tight to 20, 25 minutes max because, like we said, we're not going to go in detail into too many things because ultimately I always feel like pre-season's kind of irrelevant. And there are things that you can see in individual moments and players, and obviously fitness is the key thing. But if we had a loss today, I'm going to come on here and be moaning about it because it's ultimately a training session, isn't it? If we were watching the bleep test that Villa were doing, or whatever they call it these days, you go, well, I'm not going to take anything from that even. It's kind of the same, really. So I understand it was your first game as Villa reporter properly. I know, again, it's only pre-season, but it's nice to get there and be involved in that. And it is nice to be back, isn't it? That's the kind of feeling, really. Villa are back. Unai Emery is back. The boys are back. I'm kind of eager to get started, basically.
Yeah, today was very, very much that sort of first game, and it was very slow, quite sluggish to start with. The most energy in the game was when all the youngsters came on. So, yeah, I mean, there isn't too much we can take from it. I actually think maybe we've put in that Valencia game towards the end, or it is now our last preseason game, isn't it? So I got a feeling maybe that one was put in, even though it's just after Lazio. Sorry, because we're missing so many of our senior players at the moment. So yeah, and you could tell that on the pitch today again. Although we are lacking fitness compared to where we would be in the middle of the season, should we say? There was clear sort of teething issues between build-up and things like that. And I'm not trying to be negative, but that's just an obvious thing. If you've drawn to Walsall, it's not going to be perfect, is it? So, yeah. But again, there's not too much you can take from it. I think it was literally just one of those, good for fitness and for the players who go on the pitch today, and for the youngsters as well to get a feeling for it. But it's kind of pointless to look at anything else in a way. We have 5 more games, 3 against Premier League opposition, and then a good Serie A team and Valencia. So those are the games that are going to be available for Emery to use his full squad, apart from a couple of injured players. And in that, he can then tweak things and work on different systems and different tactics. But today, you can't do that when you have so many academy players and returning loanees like Morgan Sanson and others as well, who might not feature next season. So it was just a sort of fitness exercise.
It's one of those things that you almost, there's nothing you can really take from today that you'll learn to face Newcastle next week. Never mind Newcastle for the first game of the season, like the next pre-season game. It's kind of the side that play today will probably never play again together. Do you know what I mean? It's just a random collection of players kind of thing. So, I never read too much into pre-season. You can be very good in pre-season and then start the season terribly and vice versa. So it's all about fitness. You don't want to get any further injuries, team chemistry, those kind of things. I've seen a lot of moaning on social media this afternoon about certain players, and it's the first game of pre-season. Like the players who have played as well, I feel like the break between last season and this has been fairly short. So everyone's played a lot of football. A lot of internationals still away that haven't come back yet, like the likes of McGinn. The new signings obviously aren't in there at the moment, Torres and Tielemans. It's just, I can't read anything into this first game. I almost felt like if this why are we doing a podcast about it? That kind of vibe, like, because I don't want to go in depth on it. I've seen like some of the moan I've seen, I just don't get. I want to kind of focus on the positives and some of the youth players that have come through. But
yeah,
it's the first game, so I'm excited to get back. Basically, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, there's nothing you can take from it, but in preseason games, apart from, as I say, those little tactical tweaks and building little relationships on the pitch and team bonding as well. So nothing that you're going to see in terms of results in a way. Like, again, we won all of our games apart from one. I think we drew to Man United last summer, and that wasn't the best preparation at all. And we could tell that, by the way, when we were watching the games in Australia. Most people, or at least I was thinking, there's no sort of clear identity here. We're not building anything where we were last season. So that's what you want to see in pre-season, and then over the next 5 games, hopefully that is what we can take from it rather than results. Results really don't matter. Yeah. So yeah, today was about fitness and literally nothing more. Whereas the other games, you wanted fitness and a bit of tactics and things like that. So yeah, digging out players and stuff. I'm sure that's the sort of the minority. And
of course, yeah.
Villa's back on a Saturday. There's going to be sort of reactions to everything that the fans have seen, and they're completely entitled to it as well. But again, I think everyone's aware that it's just a pre-season game and it's the first one, and half the squad wasn't even there anyway.
Yeah, these first ones for me are: do we get to see the new signings? What's the new kit look like in the flesh? What's it look like on the players rather than in photographs? That's literally all I care about in these first couple. It's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, cool. Villa drew. Okay. Yeah, nice. Who played? Yeah, cool. Okay. It's 2 obviously very different teams. A lot of youngsters coming on in the second half, but like we said, that first team that started as well, kind of focus on those a little bit. Diego Carlos played an hour, was it, I think, which is obviously great for his recovery, his first start since the injury last August, which is quite a big deal in itself in some ways. Ollie Watkins scoring from a penalty, also a nice little thing as well. Yeah. Out of the players that started the game, so we'll talk about the youngsters separately in a little bit. Who impressed you this afternoon? Let's focus on some positives.
I was impressed by the 3 youngsters actually in the starting lineup. I mean, obviously Marshall was obviously in goal too, but I thought Feeney was good. Played on the left side of the defence and he's right-footed. And although their goal looks like it's kind of come from like a sloppy area, he couldn't quite work his feet to move the ball away from danger. He dealt with their striker Danny Johnson, who's a good player. He dealt with him well and was safe and composed on the ball. I thought Timo Ruben was also really good. You could tell already that loan helped him a lot compared to where he was previously. We only saw him in a couple of cameos in the Premier League, to be fair, and in cup competitions. But you could tell that he was more confident and sort of mature in possession, I'd say. He was driving past players and using his physicality because he's a big lad for 20 years old. Like, I
was going to say, have you noticed anyone physically bigger or stronger?
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey too. Philigine's very quick. But yeah, Tim looked really good today, I thought. He only had 45 minutes. I'm surprised he got subbed because Emery made only 3 subs at half-time and he was one of those. Aaron Ramsey also came off at half-time. Didn't kind of get into it too much in the first half. But Philigine was good, I thought, as well. Obviously, won the penalty in the towards the end of the first half. And he grew in confidence in the game as well, which is good to see. But I think for players like that, you need to test him in the Premier League as well now, because again, you don't want this to kind of turn into a negative. But while these are only League 2 players, I don't doubt that Philigiane Bidais could sort of run rings around them, and he should be able to do that if he wants to be playing in the Premier League. And that's not being, again, negative at all. I'm just saying that, it's good to see, and hopefully he'll get the opportunity to be doing that.
And those guys that have successful championship spells, that's already 2 levels above Walsall's opposition today. So they should already be better than those,
Yeah, we know that they're a level above the level that we played today anyway, but it's just good to see them do it, doing it in claret and blue. And with, your Ollie Watkins, Tim played next to Louise today. So for those players, they wouldn't have played with that level of player almost at all in their career. So this is why pre-season is good, because those youngsters get an opportunity to play with better players, which will probably make them better. And the things that they do well will probably come off more so than not. So yeah, lots of positives from the first half. It wasn't a sort of I don't know, like an all-action game. Villa controlled most of it as you'd expect. Didn't make too many chances. Walsall got their goal from a set piece and a bit of a defensive lapse from Villa. But no, I think the youngsters will be pleased with how they played, and especially in the second half as well. The 8 or so that came on, all impressed as well.
Talk me through the goal then. Jadon Philigiane does very well, obviously, to win the penalty. And we talked a little bit towards the back end of last season about Villa not really having a penalty taker. good finish from Ollie Watkins as well, isn't it? It's a nice little
Yeah.
thing to note down there. Villa seem to have improved on penalties over the summer.
Yeah, when the pressure's off.
Yeah.
It was a really good penalty from
It's a good finish, yeah.
Watkins. Yeah, really good goal. And again, Philogene say grew in confidence in the second half, and it came towards the end. So yeah, that's a positive. It's a shame we couldn't make too much more in the game from open play, but I think that's sort of a byproduct of lots of changes, a lack of fitness, and lots of different things. So yeah, and let's credit Walsall as well. I actually thought they played very well. They, as I say previously, Villa would turn up here and win 3 or 4-0 despite whoever they're playing in their 11. So I thought that they actually played well themselves. So we'll give credit to them too.
There's a comment here from Danny that O'Reilly and Caden Young look sharp in the second half. I was going to come on to Tommy O'Reilly. There seems to be a real kind of excitement about him. I think he looks like a kind of tidy footballer. I think it was mentioned a few times about a lot of youngsters on in the second half. I think it was 6 or 7 changes, was it, in the kind of second batch of substitutions?
I think it was 8.
Was it 8?
Maybe
was O'Reilly the one that was kind of like the standout of those for you?
I think they were all very good in their own way. I thought Lamar, is it? Bogard? He moved into he moved into right back, and I thought he was excellent, really good, and he had a good relationship with Caden Young down that right wing for about half an hour. I think that they had on the pitch, 25 minutes or so. And yeah, Tommy O'Reilly, really clean footballer, excellent technique. He can shift it well. Really nice left foot too. So yeah, there's a lot of promise in those players. Patterson came on in midfield. Travis Patterson, Amari Kellyman came into the striker position instead of Watkins, and Tom O'Reilly kind of dovetailed off him, so it was an advanced role for him. Young was on the right, Bogard right back, and then you had Ben Kasheni and Seb Revan on the left side as well. So yeah, a lot of changes at that point in the game, but they all held their own really well. So I presume most of them will be going on loan next season, or at least some of them. And
I was going to ask you about their future. Sorry to interrupt. I was going to ask you about their futures. Obviously, it's based off one pre-season game. And I'll ask you this also as a comment from Lynn, who asked who number 56 was. I don't know if you've got a team sheet nearby where you might be able to look up who was 56 for Villa. But yeah, the kind of the future for these young players that, yes, it's only based on one game against Walsall, but you'd expect a lot of them to still be involved throughout the rest of Villa's pre-season. And if they're good enough to go off and forge careers throughout the Football League, if they're not quite good enough for Aston Villa as an academy, that's Villa being a successful kind of club that looks after itself. So whilst they might not all go on to have stellar careers for Aston Villa, for us in the Premier League, in the top 6, top 4, wherever Villa want to be in the future, if Villa can develop good people and good footballers for the Football League, whether that's Championship, League 1, League 2, or further afield across the continent or wherever, that's a good thing for the club as well. And it looks like whatever we kind of suggest about these 6, 7, 8, 9 players, Archer, Bogard, whoever it is, they all look like a talented bunch, which is somewhere we've probably not really been with Villa for 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, that's the sort of the point in the academy. You know, you need players to come through like Jacob Ramsey has, like Jack Grealish has, and many others that I can't think off the top of my head right now. But if they're not going to have careers at Villa, then they can step down to the Championship or in the AFL, and they can listen. They all develop at different times as well. I think that's key. So that will also have an impact on where or who comes in under Emery and plays more often than not, and who will be sent out on loan and different things like that. But I think certainly if you look in the midfield right now, where we have Kamara, Tielemans and Louise, we know that Villa want another midfielder there if Dendonker's sold. I think Tim can step up into that position and play games, whether it be in the Cup, off the bench in the Premier League, in the Conference League as well. I think there's a position there for him. And he doesn't have to play every game, but I think that would be the right thing for his development. And yes, in the season, the Championship, that will do him the world of good too. But I just think the Villa needs to be spending money in that position when we know we can't be spending money all the time. If we're getting in 10 million, say, for Dendoncker, can we keep that as 10 million profit rather than then spending 15 to 20 million on another midfielder? We'll see. But yes, some of the other lads are much younger, like Caden Young, I think 17 or maybe he's 18 now. I'm not totally sure, to be fair. Bogard as well, come back off loan in the summer from Bristol Rovers, and say I thought he was really good. Both of them on the right channel looked really handy. So yeah, very impressive youngsters today, and I think that's the main takeaway. And I'm glad it was in a way, because this is their opportunity to have their little moment. And again, this isn't just them playing to play in the first team. This is them to prove to the academy staff and loan staff that they can be playing at high level, for example. So, yeah,
like we said, these guys are going to be more involved in the squads for the rest of pre-season, but it's not that these youngsters are going to be playing 35, 40 minutes in each game, because the further Villa go in their preparations, it's more likely that it's the team that will start the season, or so it should be. But for this game specifically, in Walsall's kind of the classic friendly, isn't it? For these guys, it's a big deal for them, and to not have it. Obviously, as Villa fans, we want to see all aspects of the club, whether it's youth or whatnot. But for them not to be overshadowed by, it's Pau Torres' day, like he played today, and we're all talking all about him, like the youngsters have had their moment, and that's a nice thing as well. But we also get that excitement of fans that the Newcastle friendly or the Fulham friendly will be Pau Torres' day or Yuri Tielemans' day, and we get to see these exciting new players as well. What do you think of the shirt and the badge and the training kit and all those kind of things? I mean, it's not really a question I'd throw your way normally, because we're talking about football, but again, it's the first game of pre-season. It's the first time we see the kit on the players. That's always like a little thing for me to kind of point out for. And I love all the training stuff. That's usually what the kind of stuff I would buy, because I kind of get more wear out of it. So little quarter zip thing that Unai was wearing, I was like, fancy a bit of that.
Before we talk about my quarter zip then. No, the training shirt that they had when they were warming up, so I suppose it's the pre-match shirt rather than the training shirt.
That was nice,
it looks very similar to the Luke Roper strip, with a little blue under the armpit, sort of going down to the waist. That looked really nice. When they were training, you thought if you put a sponsor on that and a badge, then that could easily be a really nice home kit. So, I'll be honest, I didn't actually pay too much attention to the home shirt when they were playing. I was concentrating on what was going on. But
you were doing your actual job. I was just looking at the kit.
No, but when the pre-match shirt, I thought was really neat. So we'll see what the away kit looks like. That I would presume would be released in America. We don't know that for sure.
Okay, that from a business point of view, again, based off what we did last year, we unveiled the away shirt in Australia on the tour. The big kind of the fanfare of doing it somewhere different. You'd imagine we didn't play in it today. We probably wouldn't play against Newcastle, because normally we're playing claret and blue against Newcastle because they play in white and black. So you'd expect at some point during the tour for us to release an away kit, I would suspect.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know anything, but I would
presume we'd play in it, but then that would mean Fulham wearing their away shirt, and Brentford would have to wear a completely different colour as well, because
we don't know what colour is, John. It could be any colour. It might not clash with Fulham's home kit. Who knows?
I'm coming at a different angle here. No, you are correct. If it's not released in America, you'd expect Ollie Watkins and Douglas Luiz to be coming down the escalator at Star City. So.
I'd love for them to redo that. That'd be great. I think that's pretty much it for the Walsall game in terms of specific kind of match moments and stuff. As we said, it's a run out. It's a training session, basically.
Are there any comments from fans? I can't see on my thing.
No, not really. There's a couple of just about like the kids and its pre-season, etc. Liam was asking about number 56, but I assume you've not come back to it, so you don't know.
I actually don't know who number 56. My team sheet's in my bag, so I would get it.
Let's just quickly wrap up there and talk about the US trip. I mean, people want us to talk about transfers and things like that, but this is not the time for that. There's moving parts happening, of course, because that's the nature of transfers and the transfer window, and more will become clear in the coming days, you would expect, before Villa jet off to the US, whenever that is. So maybe for people who aren't aware of what this kind of US tour is, do you want to kind of have a bit of a roundup of when Villa fly out, or who we play, what the kickoff times are? Is it available on TV? Like, give me kind of like a nice summary of what to expect over the next 10 days or whatever it is.
Yep. So Premier League Summer Series, it's Villa, Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton, Brentford, Chelsea, I think, are all the teams that are there. Obviously, we play Newcastle.
Sorry, was it Leeds at one point? And then they've obviously changed that because they've gone down.
Might have been. I'm not
sure Leeds were in it to begin with, and it was like, they could go down. So Premier League series with Leeds looks weird. So Brighton must now be replaced those.
Possibly. Obviously, we don't play Chelsea or Brighton. We're only playing Newcastle, Fulham, and Brentford. I mean, the kickoff times are weird because it's so USA time. It'll be on. When would that be? It would be. Hold on, let me just get my calendar out. So it'll be Sunday night USA time or midnight Monday that we play Newcastle. That's in Philadelphia, I believe.
Yeah.
I think all the stadiums hold, more than 40,000.
Yeah, I've been doing like the graphics for the match day poster things this afternoon when I was on shift, and we're playing in some nice stadiums. Like even obviously the Valencia one as well. Like there's some nice stadiums coming up for you to go to.
Yeah. So I don't know how that will look when Villa play like Brentford. I don't think that will be like a sellout if it's a 50,000 stadium, but we'll see. But anyway, so Monday midnight, should we say? Newcastle. That's on Sky Sports. They're all on Sky Sports. Fulham against Villa is on Thursday midnight, so Wednesday USA night. And then Brentford is on Sunday at midday, I believe. Sunday the 30th, so in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, Villa are obviously going over there mainly for warm weather training. It's 33 degrees where they go in Washington, Philadelphia, Maryland, and Orlando. The 3 destinations they'll be sort of training in, I suppose, and playing in. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what comes of it. I'm interested more so just to see what happens in the games, because those are 3 games that you can really test things on, because those are Premier League players, and yeah, you want to compare yourself to where we are fitness wise to other teams, and the whole squad will be back then, apart from obviously a couple of injured members. Who knows, there might be a couple of additions halfway through. So yeah, looking forward to it, and we'll have lots of content as well, so that's always a bonus.
Yeah, we'll be doing plenty of stuff over the next 2 or 3 weeks as we get into the pre-season swing of things. Obviously, this has only been the first post-match reaction of the season. We said we wanted to keep these tight throughout the course of the season, not just today. So I think we will wrap it up there. We've spoken about Walsall, we've spoken about the kids, the kit, what's coming up over the US, and then the next few weeks worth of content as well. We'll be doing these post-match shows. So say like you say like Sunday night, Monday morning. So as through Sunday, it gets to midnight. That's kick-off here in England, which is technically Monday morning. Yeah. So we're not going to be doing a post-match podcast at like 3 a.m. UK time Monday morning. We'll do something as early as we can,
probably midday
on Monday that suits your time zone in the US, basically.
I think it's 4 or 5 hours behind in the US. So
yeah. So if we're saying midday, you're going to be getting up like 7 a.m. or whatever to jump on. Yeah. So there'll be a post-match show for 25, 30 minutes for each of those games we just mentioned, but it'll obviously be several hours after the event because of time zones. We might be able to do the Brentford one slightly earlier, possibly, but it still could be the next day. And then obviously Lazio is at Walsall again, so that could be a nighttime podcast. And Valencia again is probably going to be the day after as well. So we're doing something for each of the games, but we can't kind of nail down that it's going to be this time in this place. It's a little bit play by ear. And once the season kicks off, it'll be post-match shows immediately after the game, like always. So John, thank you for joining me for this one. Thanks for the comments and for the live viewers for jumping on as well. If you're catching up with this on YouTube, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel and help us grow and keep up to date with all those podcasts coming up. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from, leave reviews, 5 stars, please, if possible. They will help us get out to a wider audience and find and serve more Villa fans as well. So, yeah, thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back this week coming up with more content between now and the Newcastle game next Sunday/Monday morning. So keep an eye on everything. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all very soon.